Welcome to my Mortal Rite overview video. For those of you that saw my last overview video, that was more of a first impressions, hands-on, first time playing the game. And I plan on talking about some of the things I saw in the comments of that video. For those of you who did not see that video and may be new to Mortal Rite, not sure quite what it is, you're in for a treat. If you can't tell from this opening video, which is phenomenal by the way. Mortal Rite is a third-person action RPG that aims to breathe new life into the rogue-lite and dungeon crawler genres. In Mortal Rite, you must face the blood spirit's trials as you ascend the tower in order to gain access into the guild. This footage was taken from the pre-alpha test that they just had that just ended on February 13th. Now keep in mind, you'll be able to catch this game again during Steam Next Fest, which will be running February 21st through 28th with a similar build to what you'll be seeing now with a few more updates and optimizations to it. So with that being said, the first thing we're going to really get into is we're going to get into the two characters that we have available to us and the character hub itself. Now when you first spawn in, this is the area that you'll spawn into, which is the character hub, where you can do your character selections from these altars, and there's also a multiplayer area, and there's also an arena where you can kind of fight enemies to test out your skills. The first character we're going to talk about is Dawksin. I personally love the Dawksin design. I just think he looks really cool, but he has two swords, you know, he has this cape on him that moves around while he does everything. He's a fast character, a hit and run type character. Second character we're going to talk about is Shold. Shold is a bit more of a tankier character, hard hitting. It's essentially the opposite archetype of what Dawksin is. They kind of gave us the slower moving, hard hitting character, and then they gave us the fast moving, in and out type of character. They both play completely different. Shold, you can kind of just run in there and hit things. Dawksin's a little bit more of a hit and run character, but they're both fun to play with. This is the multiplayer area, whereas if you see a hand rise out of this pool, that is a person putting up a room that you can join and play co-op with. So the first thing we're going to do is go over Dawksin. Again, Dawksin's more of a hit and run character. He's very much based off of the parries, which you just saw, and you'll see again right there. Parries are his bread and butter. Parrying enemies is what he does. Dawksin has a pretty cool kit. What you just saw there was the Hunter's Charge, where he dashes in and does a swipe. Then you saw the Pierce, where he kind of threw that dagger, and then I finished off that enemy with a recall. For this enemy, I kind of went in with Dawksin's grapple ability, where he attaches onto an enemy. And when he hits that enemy, he does stun them. Right here, I'm using the Pierce. Now, the trick to Dawksin is his build is about adding stacks to an enemy. Now, every attack you do with Dawksin will add a stack to an enemy. His recall ability will call back those stacks and do damage to an enemy, which you'll see me do right here to finish off the enemy. So what you want to do is you want to kind of get in, add these stacks, throw out the Pierce, which is that throwing dagger. Now here we're going to see the upgraded version of the Hunter's Charge, where Dawksin will charge through an enemy, and any enemy that he hits on that dash it will do damage to, versus just the land and spin does damage. The upgrade to his grapple hook is he can now attach onto the environment in the game. This is just a basic overview of what you can do with it, but it's pretty fun to play around with, and if you get your hands on the game, you'll have some fun messing around with it, that's for sure. His upgrade to his Pierce ability is the Piercing Fan, which, as you can see, goes out in a fan-type motion and comes back to him. It's good for multiple enemies, and then I hit them with an Omni Recall, which is the upgrade to the Recall ability, which calls stacks back from all enemies that have been hit with the stack. Now, if you're able to get through the entire level, you'll see this boss, Imos. We're not going to show too much of him. You guys can experience that for yourself. Now, if you get through the level, you can replay the level. You'll keep all your abilities. However, the enemies do stack in damage and in health, so you have a little bit of a harder time getting through it. It definitely adds to replayability. Again, this is just a pre-alpha, so we just have this one level to really mess around with for right now, but there will be more levels, as the whole point is you're going to be kind of climbing through this tower trying to make it to the top. So the next thing we're going to talk about is Shold and his overview. Again, he's more of the tanky, heavy hitter architect. As you see here, he does big damage, and he does a lot of stun damage. His enemies get knocked back. Now his first ability is he can turn, instead of having that hammer and shield, he can have this great axe that you see right here. And then his second ability is he's able to put up a wall just like that. The wall is great for getting space from enemies, blocking off enemies so you can deal with other things. His third ability is the shield bash you just saw, and his fourth ability is lance attack. The lance attack hits up to, I believe, 3 or 4 times on an enemy. It's super effective. Going shield bash into the lance is very effective. Should keep in mind, you should see that yellow bar above the abilities at your ability meter, and you do need ability meter in order to do these abilities, so you want to use that wisely. Attacking enemies does give it back. Now as you see right there, just to give myself a little bit of space, I put up that wall. Now the enemy came around, I was able to hit him with a shield bash. Now silly me, I didn't have ability power, so I kind of messed that up. But here's another example. Now multiple enemies, he can deal with crowd control very well. That lineup right there was perfect for the lance, so I decided to go in and then I threw up that wall so that the arrow wouldn't hit me. Again, he has multiple tools to deal with multiple enemies, which just makes him, I would say, a lot easier to play than Dawksin. Dawksin is definitely the harder character to play as of right now, but he's just able, once that shield bash gets in, he can just hit the lance move. Now keep in mind, things could get nerfed because they're constantly trying to balance these characters. Now the upgrade to his axe, his first ability, is the stone form. In the stone form, he's able to turn to the stone form, which does extra damage, a little extra damage, and does more poise damage. Poise is kind of their armor. When someone has no poise, they get stunned. The upgrade to his wall is this giant wall, which you can actually kick out at enemies. Again, if you're stressed out, you can kind of use that to separate yourself. And also with the mini wall, which I forgot to mention, if you use the mini wall and have your sword, your axe and shield out, then you can have this giant shield, which if you're shielded, you receive less damage. The upgrade to his shield bash is a shield dash. As you just saw, he just dashed through multiple enemies. Now you're just going to get an example here. The upgrade to his lance, which I kind of cheesed this a little bit, I won't lie. But the upgrade to the lance is more damage, more hits, and it also does more damage to poison armor. It makes it easier to stun enemies, bigger enemies, things of that nature. I use the wall to kind of block off the archers here, and then I'm just going to come in and swing my axe. The range on this axe, if you have grouped up enemies, again, he's very good at dealing with grouped up enemies. And then I'm just going to use the shield dash here just to get up there a little faster. And again, if you make it to the end, see if you can take out the boss. Now we're going to talk about graphics. Graphics was a big thing in my last video in the comments. I was running the game on low to potato settings the last time due to optimization issues with the game. Again, it was the first day of the pre-alpha when I made that video, and they have come a long way from that. Their team has really worked hard to get this game optimized so as many people as possible can play it. I will still say the game thrives best and looks best on high and ultra settings. However, I personally am running this on medium settings with DLSS unbalanced. It gives me a constant 60 FPS, and that's where I feel comfortable. I like being at 60. For those of you that feel comfortable at 30 FPS, you may be able to play around with the settings, maybe run them a little higher. Just for reference, I personally am running a RTX 2060 6GB with a i7-7800X CPU that's overclocked to 4.27, and I have 32 gigabytes of RAM. And like I said, medium with balanced DLSS seems to give me the best results. But as you can see here, the game really does look amazing when you're on these high. I think it looks great in medium, but when you get to these high and ultra settings, it really starts to shine with the lighting and the shadows. Now you're going to see everything in DLSS balanced now, which DLSS is just amazing. It's great. It changes so many things. It makes things look great no matter what setting you're on. Like even this potato setting with DLSS balanced on, I think still looks good. You're not getting the lighting and the shadows that really make this game stand out and look amazing. But just on like if you're just about the gameplay, this is just fine. It still looks good. It doesn't look bad at all to me. Others may say different, but depending on your hardware, these are the various settings that you may be playing on. So I figured I'd give everyone a look, just because everyone seemed very concerned in my last video about how this game looked. And there's been updates to the map and stuff like that have made the game look great as well. But hats off to the team, Toronto Studios, because they have just been killing it with their patches and things of that nature. They were pumping out patches during the playtest. Whether it was optimizations or bugs and glitches and things of that nature. I went from having like crashes here and there, and a lot of people having crashes due to various things, to the last couple days of the playtest, I had absolutely 0 crashes in my game. The game's running smooth, it's running amazing. Now I'm just going to show off the character hub as well in the different settings, because you can kind of see a different variety of things, as before it was just kind of running through one section of the level that you'll be playing. DLSS on lower, when you're on the lower presets, DLSS seems to just kind of shut the lighting off for the most part. The lighting and the shadows seem to be the biggest resource hog when it comes to your FPS. So playing around with those settings, you may help out your system. You may be able to run like the game on high, but maybe dropping down the shadows and dropping down the light may help you. But yeah, this ultra setting here, ultra on balance, some of you might think it's too dark. I swear it doesn't look that dark when you're actually playing it. So we're just going to get into some of my final thoughts on the game. I truly believe that this game is going to be the next big indie hit. The team that's behind it, their drive and their thought process and their vision for the game is amazing. Like, again, if you're a fan of Rogue-Lites and if you're a fan of Dark Soul type games, like the Soulsborne games, you're gonna love this game. You're gonna want to get your hands on this game. Again, the playtest just ended, so you can't play it right now. However, again, I'll mention they will be in the Steam Next Fest, which is February 21st through February 28th. I'm also in the description below going to put some of their information for their TikTok and their social media and their Discord for anyone that's interested in that. But I just gotta say, if you got a PC and you're interested in this game, check them out during the Steam Next Fest and wishlist their game. But thanks everybody, take it easy.
Hey, enjoying the content? Why don't you like and subscribe to my channel so you can get notified anytime I upload a new video. And as always, thanks for watching.